Hello and welcome to the Suicidal Guide to Survival. I am Caberea and today I am going to be finishing up my review of Karazhan. It's been a long time coming, so let's wait no longer and dive right into what this party holds for us. Okay, so first up we have Arcane Anomaly. Why hello there, Arcane Anomaly. Also known as a weaker mana worm. Good to see you're neutral so that we can at least see play from other classes that want their own mana worm. Like, all things considered, I actually quite like Arcane Anomaly and wish that this was more just replacing mana worm. Like, honestly, this is basically just the balanced version of mana worm. Okay, but enough of my hatred of Mana Worm. Let's move on to Arcane Giant, which is another pretty neat card that rewards spellcasting, managing to be another well-made giant as well, kind of like Frost Giant was. Rewards you with a strong creature for low cost later on for fulfilling certain conditions, unlike certain Mountain Giant that rewards you with a very, very quick one. There's not really much more to say about it other than that it's a good giant. Arcano Smith, oh yes. It's kind of amazing how such a simple card can be so nice. Arcano Smith is just a simple creature which combines two relatively weak things in something that's actually pretty cool. A 4 mana 3/2 is pretty bad, as is the 0/5 taunt that comes with it. But my time with the Warlock has taught me to appreciate the value of a solid taunt, and having a 5 health wall to protect your creatures can be very valuable when you're trying to set up something. Okay, Avian Watcher. Oh, yay! More power for freeze mages. Woo! In all honesty, I actually would be fine with this card and quite like it if it weren't for Ice Block being in the game. This card's cost makes it a bit of an awkward play for value in most cases, but if you can get it, it's very good. But since Ice Block will stay on the field with pretty much no way of triggering it, mages don't have to worry about that, and they just get to have a powerful card for like no effort whatsoever. Oh god, I didn't mean to make this about Ice Block, but damn, I like Avian. I would love Avian Watcher if not for that card. Anyway, on to another card which is specifically for mages, as opposed to just being good for mages. We have Babbling Book. It's a 1 mana 1/1 spell supplier. My only complaint is it's limited to mage spells. Why not open up the floodgates to the hilarity of randomness with every spell? After all, how should a book know that you don't have any totems to use Totemic Maidon? How does a book know you don't want Moonfire? See, it's just makes perfect sense. We've got Bookworm next, continuing with the book theme. It's Stampeding Kodo that is +1 everything. +1 mana cost, +1 health, +1 dragon needed for effect, +1 attack. Cat Trick. And here we have a really nice hunter secret actually, as it gives another secret condition for hunters. When it comes to secrets in general, I really like it when they introduce a secret trigger that doesn't exist already on the class, as it allows for more things an opponent has to go through to determine what your secret is, which is wonderfully fun for mind games. Okay, another hunter card, we have Cloaked Huntress. Honestly, despite its stats, I don't think this card is particularly good or bad. We've got Eaters of Secrets in place in order to prevent this card's effect from being too powerful, and Hunter Secrets don't really dent your mana pool that much, so it's only really going to reward the hunters that really dig into all the secrets and stuff, which is cool. My only gripe with it is due to it being a 3 mana 3/4, it's basically Spider Tank with an ability, which is a little too strong I feel, but given how the ability's kind of kept in check, I feel this isn't too bad a card really. Just keep an eye on it. If it sees too much running Blizzard then buff Eat of Secrets you're making, you're not going to do anything like that. Anyway, moving on. Deadly Fork, a rogue card. I don't know how to feel about it, honestly. It's a 3 mana 3/2 that gives a 3 mana 3/2, but one's a weapon and the other's a creature. It's got really good value to it, and it helps to prop up more of the kind of survival-y type rogues, I guess. Like, if you want to control a bit more using your weapons, this is a very solid card. You just need to have a little bit of healing to keep yourself propped up, and it's very good. I guess I quite like it, even if it might be a little bit too much value. And I like the fact that it means in the I like the idea of in the future maybe we see a 3 mana 3/2 weapon that gives a 3 mana 3/2 creature on death. That would be cool. And another kind of interesting type of weapon thing we have here is a Fool's Bane. I don't really know how to feel about this one either. I mean, it can make for a solid board clear, but that's going to hurt you a lot for it. Like, 4 hits from their creatures could really crush your health. It's on Warrior, so you can afford it, but ever since I saw this card, I've been trying to think of a clever way to use it, like upgrading it so you like have a constant board clear with upgrade. But that doesn't make so much use of the whole unlimited attacks kind of thing. It seems kind of strange, really, and I hope that there's some other cards here which give a cool way to use it, because right now... Okay, another warrior card, Ironforge Portal. Is 1 mana worth 4 armor? I mean, I suppose given Bash, that seems to be reasonable. It's not too strong, not too weak. I'm always up for more random stuff, but yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say on Ironforge Portal. It seems kind of weird with the, with its effect and cost for it, but it makes sense. Karazhan, 5 mana 6/6 that benefits Zoolock. Well, fuck me! Fortunately, I really doubt this is going to be run in Zoolock, since it costs just a little bit too much mana and isn't aggressive enough for their facey ways. Overall, I'm okay with it, because it encourages a bit more variance in the types of summoning cards. Heck, this whole expansion with its portals does that, and I love that. Speaking of which, let's move on to a Maelstrom Portal, Shaman card. This is not what I meant by more variance in a summoning card. Why the hell is this Arcane Explosion, but it also summons a minion? Like, I get it's a different class, but this is just flat out better than Arcane Explosion being given to a class that's already got some pretty bullshit cards, like a certain 4 mana 7/7, which, in all honesty, I suppose I should be grateful that this isn't. God. Moving on to happier times. Malkazar's Imp. I love this. Some more things to encourage the whole idea of Warlock. Since Warlock came out, the idea of it was that you could sacrifice something in order to have access to something stronger. Whether it was Flame Imp taking your health for a 2 mana value on a 1 mana card, Soulfire costing you a card from your hand, or your Hero Power costing health for a draw. But it's only recently that we started getting cards that actually help the discard Warlock, and I love them for it. My only real issue is that Warlocks already have access to their draw through hero powers, so Malkazar's Imp doesn't really do that much for them. Now, we have Medivh the Guardian here. The big legendary from this expansion, like a Rafam was from League of Explorers and Nefarian and Kel'Thuzad were from the previous ones. The big last guy that can have some pretty crazy fun effects, as we've seen in just about, in literally every other one of them that had some fun effect to it. And Medivh the Guardian is no exception. On his own, he isn't anything special to look at. An 8 mana 7/7 isn't particularly strong, but it should have a decent ability for it. Now, the weapon Medivh gives is considerably better than decent. Welcome to Summoning Stone as a weapon. but 3 creatures coming from your weapon with spellcasts is incredibly powerful. Like, getting a single use of Summoning Stone can turn the tide of battle, and having 3 ones available to you, oh well. I have a feeling we might be seeing more Harrison Jones or Oozes if this guy becomes some big player card. Okay. More Medivh! Medivh's Valet, more powerful mages using Ice Block. Fuck me! Moving on. Menagerie Magician. Here we have just normal buffs for the Beast Dragon Murloc deck with Curator. I was really hoping that we were going to see something a bit more interesting for the deck type. But if this is the kind of support it's got, then it looks like we're just going to see already used Beast and Dragons being run with these cards. Maybe Murloc Tidehunters or Finley as well, but most Murlocs need synergy to be good, and this card doesn't really encourage that kind of synergy. It just encourages running already good cards. Oh god. Menagerie Warden, which is, I feel, a better kind of way of doing the whole Menagerie thing, even if this has nothing to do with the whole curator type effect. My personal name for Menagerie Warden is Ram Wrangler of Certainty. This card could probably stand to have a bit less stats as well, maybe like a certain 3/3 for instance, especially because most creatures this will summon are going to be giving it value much more so than Ram Wrangler, since it can summon transformed druids, which makes me dread to think about some of the bullshit that could get pulled off by this thing. Like, holy crap, there's a fair few stealth beasts out there, which, since it's druid and you have savage roar, fuck, this has got some bullshit potential behind it, which I hope doesn't get used, but it's totally going to be used. It's completely going to be used. Anyway, moving on, Moat Lurker. This card is really interesting, or rather, it would be if it had a sense of rotation to its effect. Like, it's still a cool card, but I would love it if this card could be a counter to Sylvanas. The way this card works is it memorizes the position of the creature it killed, so it will place the creature on the field of the person who it belonged to originally. So basically, no matter where this creature dies, it will always place the creature that it killed back on the same side of the field. What I would love is if its ability instead sort of sides as friendly and enemy. Then this card would be a beautiful counter to Sylvanas. Just imagine your opponent just has Sylvanas out and they play it on an empty board so they can just steal whatever kind of crap you play. And you're like, fuck! But then you have Moat Lurker in your hand. You play it, kill it with Moat Lurker, and then kill Moat Lurker. And because it's seeing it as friendly and enemy, then it would switch Sylvanas onto your side. And would be a great punishment for people playing that card. Because Sylvanas is bullshit, and as it stands with its current effect, it's more likely to be used to just repeat Sylvanas bullshit or something like that, if it's used at all. And that just kind of annoys me, it's lost potential. But moving on to another card is Moonglade Portal. It's forbidden shaping, locked at 6 mana, but gains 6 health for it. I'm cool with that, as it's a fairly decent heal, and, you know, this game needs more decent healing cards. It's not too strong, it's definitely not weak. It's cool, I like it. And Morose. He's Shade of Nax, except he's balanced. He summons lots of stewards, and his name is Morose. That's not much more I can say about it. It's actually just a good, balanced Shade of Nax that isn't going to be used for priest hiding and OTKs and shit like that. I just like him. Yes. Oh my god, yes. Never Spite Historian. We have dragons to acquire more dragons, which allow for dragons to dragon harder. I like this card a lot, but as with most Dragon Synergy cards, it's probably just going to be used with flat out strong cards and a few legendaries that are dragons solely by coincidence. Which is lame, Very, very lame. Nightbane Templar, another kind of dragon card, and it's possibly a bit too strong with the whole dragons kind of thing, but I do like them pushing the idea of Dragon Paladin. Just hopefully it won't disappear once Blackrock Mountain gets rotated out, because we're losing a lot of our kind of dragon synergy there. Okay, for Priest, we have Onyx Bishop. This Resurrect with a 3 mana 3/4 attached. It's a nice form for a bit later Resurrect, and it's pretty balanced with it too. It's a good card. Not much more to say on that. Pantry Spider, 3 mana 2/6, pretty good value, even if it's a little bit lessened by the fact that each of them only has 1 attack. But if you can buff it up with a little attack, like Raid Leader isn't a good card. I mean, maybe with Pantry Spider, you could actually have these 2 cards be a little bit more powerful. Sadly, this will probably just be used for Evolve, which is already kind of bullshit. And I'd love to see this card actually have a bit more applications outside of just giving you ridiculous value on Evolve, which is already ridiculous value. And Pompous Thespian, god damn it, they just made a flat out better Frostwolf run. It's Blizzard being stupid and the waste of a card from the expansion instead of anything new. Not talking about it anymore. Okay. Back to Priest again. We have Priest of the Feast. I'm not sure how much of a thing Spell Priest is, but I'm glad they've gone a card that rewards spellcasting. Heck, that's kind of the whole expansion's point, I feel. So it's nice to see Priest getting a little bit of love, even if it's not that much. Okay, next up a Legendary. Legendaries are always neat. And, ooh, Prince Malcazar! I am so glad this card is in the game! Finally, we can have decks that are bigger than 30 cards, even if we can't choose what those cards are. This is also a great card for players starting out, since they won't have the bullshit legendaries, and they can now get a chance to play with them, or just any legendaries. Which makes it kind of a dick move that this is at the end of the adventure, but it's still a cool card anyway. Just kind of wish that they'd placed this somewhere a bit earlier in the adventure, so new players wouldn't have to chalk up 2,800 to get to play with a wide array of legendaries. 2,800 gold, I mean. I don't know how much the money value is of that, because fuck it, I never pay for anything in this. Protect the King! Unleash the taunts! It's really nice to see a card like this. Though, given the taunt is valued at a fair bit lower than charge, they could stand to be a bit stronger, or the card to be a bit cheaper. Still, with Bolster, this can be 5 mana for a board of 3/3 taunts, which is pretty damn good. Even though sometimes that just means a fair amount of them are about to die, but still, it's a cool card and can really punish flooding, especially with Bolster as a combo. Next up, we have another Priest card, and it's Purify. This card, it is bad. I mean, it is more silence, which means Priest now holds just about all of the silences in the game. But this card is so pathetically weak. I'll go into a later video on just how weak this card is. Actually, no, never mind. I'm going to do it now. So, Purify, being 2 mana, silence a friendly minion, draw a card, compared to Silence, means that since you have lost half the options of what you can silence with this card, and have gotten only draw a card with it for plus 2 mana, means that draw a card according to this card is worth 2.5 mana. That is not what you have set up previously, Blizzard. This card would only be semi-decent if it could silence enemy minions, but as it stands, the only use it has is being more silences for your own stuff, since silence is so poorly represented in this game. That's a topic for another video. But just outside of the fact this adds more silence to the game, there is very little point to it existing, and that really pisses me off. However, moving on to something that doesn't piss me off, egg cards. Runic Egg in particular. And I just love egg cards in general. This is one that's much more in line with its value, unlike Nerubian. By the way, Dragon Egg, pretty well designed too as well, in addition to Runic Egg. 1 mana cycle isn't anything particularly good, but if you can buff this to kill and trade it up, it could prove very valuable. And since most people are just going to ignore it, as they don't want to, give you a draw, it could prove very useful. If people are smart, they'll deal with it and it won't actually provide much help, but smart players in Hearthstone are unicorns. I did meet one of those unicorns very recently, but they are unicorns nonetheless. Silver Moon Portal, more portal type stuff. And this one's a bit more in line with stat value than some of the others. 2 mana +2/+2 is about right on value, and summoning a random 2 cost for it makes it add up perfectly when you get something decent. And 2 costs have some good representation that you could pull, like Doomsayer for instance. What's better than that? Oh wow. Ooh, Silverware Golem, more support for discards. In fact, this is almost Fist of Jaraxxus done right. This card I feel is a touch too powerful for its effect though. Maybe it were 2-3 or 3-2, since there is a lot of value in being able to play a card via discarding. But I'm glad we got a discard summon that isn't complete garbage on its own. It's a little above the stat line, but it's closer to what the stat line should be than Fist of Jaraxxus by a whole lot. Moving on to Shaman, we have Spirit Claws. Now this is something we haven't seen before. A weapon that benefits from spell damage. And I like it. Though, it would have been really cool if it's stacked with spell damage for like +1 damage per spell damage. Because that 1 mana 3/3 weapon is kind of ridiculous, even if it needs spell damage to maintain that. I do like that it's pushing spell damage Shaman a bit though, because spell damage is fun. Really, really fun. And for Rogue we have Swashbuckler. Damn, this is a nice addition too, especially with Ethereal Peddler. Its stat line is really good for its effect, which I'd be a bit inclined to say is a little too strong, especially with its pirate tribe, but since it's encouragement to burgle, I'm just gonna let that slide. Burgling is fun. Oh, yay! They did it! Violet Illusionist! Here we have a card that can make Fool's Bane viable, along with a bunch of other self-harming effects. Honestly, I feel it should have a little bit weaker stat line for it, really. Like, heck, maybe a more defensive stat line, like the Tornadmatics 1/8. Because this card's effect can prove incredibly valuable, and its stat line is purely on curve regardless. I would have loved it if this had even more of an emphasis on the value being in that effect by making it more defensive than it is. But it's still a very interesting effect, and I look forward to seeing more cards like this. It's cool. Onwards to another Shaman card, Wicked Witch Doctor. Jesus Christ, this card is bad. I get it, it's Tuskar Temic, but you can use it multiple times. But unlike Tuskar, this can only get basic totems, which are bad, and you need a spell to combo with it, which is more than Tuskar needed. Its main advantage, I suppose, is if it can pull out multiple of a single totem, since spell totems with this card could be insanely good. But even then, it's just a 1 in 4 chance you'll get it each time, which is not good odds to be working with. Especially for something that is so vital to what you're going to be going for if you run this card. Next up, and the final card for this expansion, is Zubot. And it's just a Menagerie Manager, but with even less reliance on getting its buffs off. Bravo, Blizzard! You raised my hopes of Curator and dashed them quite expertly with these creatures. I do really hope we see more interesting representation for the Beast Dragon Murloc deck in the future, but right now it's not looking all that good. Honestly though, overall, I'd say that Karazhan brings some pretty interesting ideas to the table, and it pushes some class archetypes that could be really interesting to see, even if they might be pushing them a little bit too strong at times. There are only a few stupid cards in this adventure, probably the worst offender being Medivh's Valet, as it rewards an already present and annoying deck type. My favorite though is Barnes. He has some really interesting applications to him, and you could make an entire deck just based around giving his effect more value. His own stats could be lower to make it a bit less flat out good, but he is still a really, really neat card, and is more of what I wish more legendaries would be more like. That's a lot of more, but Barnes deserves it. Hopefully, we will see more neat cards like him in the future. But for now, that's all there is to say about this. I hope that you enjoyed this little bit of a review of it, my opinions on the cards. If you did enjoy it, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment on which your favorite cards or least favorite cards are in the comments below. And I hope you have a wonderful time playing with this expansion and the cards within it. Until the next time, this has been Caberea from the Suicidal Guide to Survival saying goodbye, good night, and have one wonderful night in Karazhan. Actually, have many more than one. Wonderful night, I mean.